Hello everyone, this is Jason from Uncaught Exception. I'm just doing my first audio version of Too Much Fun for your listening pleasure, so you can listen to it in the car or going for a walk or whatever it is you do when you're not in front of the computer. So let's get right into it. We start off with the music section. Perhaps the music software gods have smiled upon us because there is a glut of stuff to tell you about. That, and I fell behind due to the annual holiday time. So, there are 3 to 4 issues worth of stuff in the queue. I even considered making a music-only special edition just to catch up. I decided not to, but I won't rule out the possibility of doing that in the future. Okay, the first one's Orchestral Tools. So, these folks aim to be your premier choice for orchestra sounds with categories for textures, underscoring, voices, traditional, cultural, and more. They use the Sign Player rather than Kontakt or SoundPaint, and compare them with Spitfire. The next one's called Disco. It's a music management platform aimed at band managers, marketers, and promotions folks. Next we have Sonica, which is for organizing, sharing, and selling and discovering music on a do-it-all style platform. Collaborate effectively using version control features and time-stamped comments. No fees are taken for music sales, plus it handles any splits with collaborators. Then we have Production Music Live. It's another do-it-all site which sells presets, samples, MIDI, and courses. Then we have this one called Leson Deep Stereo Upmixer. The quote is, "It transforms any mono or stereo source into wide and immersive soundscapes." I've gotten so used to having more controls on these plugins that when one comes along with very few of them, I get suspicious. Here's a weird one called Bosca Sea Oil. Sea Oil? I'm not sure. The Blue Album. I've made no error. It's not a link to an album, but it's a music making app. This uses a step sequencer and synthesized instruments to help you make your song. Works on Mac, Windows, and Linux. Next is Gauge Precision Instruments Lush Vox. It's more than a compressor, but it does include one. This is a collection of vocal chains, but they're modern and vintage to make your vocals sound, well, lush. Then we have Decade Bridge. They make some freebies called Shallow Grave and Speculum Light. Be warned, these seem like they've been abandoned because they only use Intel code. They have not been updated for Apple Silicon. We have one called the Launch Bundle by Canvas Audio. This new-to-me company offers this clipper, fuzz, bass overdrive, saturator, and compressor saturator combo. Plus, they do a few others like Subtech and Mixtape, and 2 sample packs. Just letting you know I've got the window open, so you might hear some bird song outside. Next we have Divisimate. This is for writing orchestral pieces. This lets you split up a played chord into several parts that can be sent to various instruments. There are 3 tiers available. Micro lets you do 4 voices, then 16 for core and 32 for the full proper version. They seem to have buttons to the 2 app stores, but they weren't clickable for me. Then we have one by GRM Tools called Atelier. French effects wizards INA GRM are back with a new effects plugin and standalone sound design app. Warning, it has a high price tag. Multiple processors and 3 modulators allow exploring never-before-heard sounds. Now there's one called Grain Dust by Sound Particles. As you may have guessed from the name, it's another granular synth. This one lets you add 4 layers and includes over 250 presets. It supports up to 7.1.4 surround sound and MPE, plus an arpeggiator and filters. Opinionated Chaos Phase. It's not a phaser, rather a stereo looper delay that lets you make some cool sounds. Now we have Aurora DSP Nosferatu. These folks have been making heavy-sounding amp sims for a while. Here are their free offerings, including Nosferatu and Goblin. Molecular Bytes Atomic Transient Micro. These folks have a small range of products, but they do quite good work. Unfortunately, they're not as popular as they could be. This one is a light version of their fully featured transient plugin, which I own, and the only gripe I can remember to mention is that the interface is slightly complicated. Now we have Audio Damage Ascent. Basically, it's a shimmer reverb that combines a whole reverb with a pitch-shifting particle reverb. Then we have Audio Thing Booga. This is by Heinbach. Heinbach does what he does best and made a microsound rhythm plugin made from another one of his obscure and rare vintage gear collection, a signal tester. As usual, it can make all kinds of previously unconceived sounds. Then we have one by Black Salt called CR1. The CR stand for crush. This one is a saturator to give a mean sound to anything. Only 4 knobs and 2 switches are needed. Simple. They also make Telos. It's the all-in-one mix tool for drums. Telos has made a tool specifically for drum mixing with 6 parts, plus the room sound. There are other Telos series for bass, vocals, and guitar. Then there's a synth called Slurpee Jr. by DAW Junkie. It's a basic synth if you find the standard ones overwhelming, so it might be good for learning synths. Plus, it's free. Next one's called Palaba by Parsonos, whom I hadn't heard of before. This is a platform designed for scripted audio workflows, possibly podcasts or audiobooks. I can tell it integrates with your DAW, but the website is a little light on for details. They want you to book a demo with them. Next up we have Node Audio's Tone Bank. Now this kind of thing seems more common on iOS. It's a note generation plugin for making rhythmically patterned harmonic loops. It makes riffs that you can modify and thus can be used as a song starter. Now from APL, we have Duopan. Their quote is, "New dimensions in stereo panning." A stereo panner that gives you a more binaural style so that panned instruments sound more like they're in a space. The next one from them is Virtuoso. This is one of those mixing utilities that is highly specialized. It's one of those environment simulators that models various spaces and rooms so you can hear a simulation of what your mix might sound like in said spaces. I'm conflicted about this type of thing because even if you are at that high level of music making when your song is played at one of these spaces, you're subject to the taste of the venue's engineer, which kind of defeats the work that you've put into your mix. So I'm not sure how they handle that. Okay, now we're up to the sample section. We have one called Campfire Folk by Daily Dosa Music. This is a pack including 25 acoustic guitar samples and 25 banjo samples for making folky tunes with. Next we have Grow Music. They do guitar sample packs in at least 16 styles, including dark trap, reggaeton, Latino, ukulele, and Spanish acoustic. And we have a group called X Sound. They do some free samples including whoosh hits, vocals, and ambient rain. Now we have one called Viking Vocals. They do 9 packs of cinematic vocals in 2 genders for making epic sounding pieces. Then we have Mist Sounds, which has nothing to do with the old game. They do stuff for techno producers, including kicks, melodies, and vocals. There are also some presets there. Now there's one called Z-Drum Volume 1 by Zetview. This has 101 drum samples, and they're separated by kit piece. Now there's a group called Noise Masters UK. They've released the DNB Pack full bundle. This includes bass and synth loops and one-shots, but no drums. There's also some Serum presets. Next we have Phantom Sounds. They do, their categories include Tech House, Latin Tech House, Afro House, and plain old techno. And we have Sound Packs, Glitch with Friends Samples Volume 3. This is a pack with a variety of sounds. I'm not sure if they're all glitchy or not, and there's some freebies there for you to check out. Last up in the samples category is Rob Late. He does keys, synths, drums, and effects, plus Serum and Ableton Live presets for making modern sounding music. There also seems to be a course available. Okay, now on to the contact instrument section. There's one called Tape Filth, and this has an assortment of samples pushed through 2 cassette recorders, which are a Radio Shack CTR-121 and Sony BM-147. I wasn't familiar with those two because I don't have any cassette to any tape stuff. This is a freebie sampler, and you can upgrade to the full version. Next we have Infinite Samples Pangea, which is analog synths and textures for cinematic and sound design work. At over 500 Australian. It better be pretty epic. Okay, now we have Scape by G Samples. They say that it's got rich textures, moody pianos, and electronic rhythms for making soundtracky and ethereal music. Now we have Impact Soundworks Cinema Foley Library. I like Impact Soundworks and I have bought a few of their libraries, but not this one, as it's aimed more at filmmakers that need Foley sounds. Then there's the Evolution series. Now this group makes a range of exotic instruments and percussion from around the world. Instruments include oud, saz, santur, and tanpura, and the percussion is from Africa, Asia, South America, the Middle East, and more. A little pricey, but the World Color series is a good starter. Now we have Sonoculture's Polarity Tension. It's another offering by the top of their game library makers Sonoculture, which is a dual-layer granular instrument for making dreamy or tension-building sounds. Next we have Frostwave Audio's Thunder Handle. Frostwave aimed to make the quintessential metallic clang sound using a Sauna Sove handle. Also available in decent sampler format if you prefer that over Contact. Now we're on to the podcast section. Up next is one called Up Next, but not that Up Next, which was a junk drawer app that had folded recently. This is a local-only podcast player, no servers or accounts. Import your OPML file from your other podcast app and enjoy chapter control and transcripts from the podcast or generate them on device if they don't offer one themselves. Now we're up to the font section, and yes, it's horrible to hear the names of fonts without seeing them, but I only ever give you a couple of samples anyway. You've got to click the links and have a look. So the first one is called Fontsk, Fontsc. This is a library of fonts of varying quality and license, but there does not seem to be a way to search only for ones for commercial use, which is very important. Now we have one called Berkeley Graphics, Berkeley Mono. This seemed to me to be a love child of Frutiger and Bell Gothic. Nice and clean and somehow retro modern looking. Then there's one from M-Type called Shentox. This is a geometric looking sans serif for getting a modern style. Maybe it's best for headlines or poster work rather than body copy. Now we're on to the Mac section. We have the Lenovo Remote Supervisor. If TeamViewer and the other offerings for remote control aren't satisfactory, check this one out, as well as RustDesk Remote Desktop, an open source remote system which lets you install all the bits and pieces on your own server for total control and security. Now there's an item called Legacy AI. It was a toss-up for putting this in the AI category. It's a Mac-only client for accessing an online service, ChatGPT, so this is the right category. The interesting part is that there is a version for 68020 CPUs that runs System 7, which is currently 35 years old. So that's a 35-year-old OS that can reach out to the internet and access ChatGPT. Incredible that people are still keeping these old machines around and useful. It astounds me. All right, then there's one called Mole. This is a disk cleanup tool. Now, many people complain that their hard drives fill up with junk due to unruly and or lazy developers, or even just cruft left behind by things they no longer use, but there's no uninstaller for. This one removes caches, logs, and browser leftovers to reclaim gigabytes of space. Now there's a thing called Listening Post, and this is, so you know Shazam for discovering music you hear around you? Well, this one does that and lets you automate using shortcuts, and it'll export to files, or you can use Listen Brains, which I hadn't heard of, post to Mastodon, which no one seems to be talking about a lot lately, or open the track directly into Apple Music or Deezer. Next up is an item called Folder Quick Look. Now, Quick Look has been around for many years, and I still haven't looked up what version of macOS it appeared in, but it doesn't do anything when you tap on it when there's a folder selected. This utility will rectify that. Next up is an item called Open Screen. I came close to buying the screen recording app Screen Studio, but they recently dropped a lifetime license and went subscription only. This app is open source and has many of the same features, so I'm going to give it a try. Next up is called Console. They say it's the easy way to convert files. Over on Threads, I saw someone say that renaming file extensions, for example, from JPEG to PNG, would convert the file automatically. It doesn't. However, with this always running utility, now it can. Check it out if you find yourself converting files all the time. Okay, fine-tune. I may have mentioned that Mac users can't figure out why Apple doesn't let you change the volumes of each app from one place, making you visit each app and hope that it has a volume control. You may have seen SoundSource, a paid app which does this, but this one is an open source project that gives you that much desired control. This one's called PasteQ. As Apple has also never decided to include a multiple clipboard, there are a dozen of them available to offer this feature. Most of them support images, but don't show you a reasonable thumbnail of what you copied if it's a graphic. This one does, so if you copy images a lot, give it a look. Next up is called Fen. This is a search tool that uses AI to help find anything on your Mac. Your files stay on your Mac. Next up is an app called Vocally. This is a dictation app, which is AI-based, but it's also all local, so you stay private. Okay, now we're on to the iOS section. This is, could be anything, could be iPhones or iPad stuff, so have a look. The first one is called TrackWhen. This is a nice looking app for tracking the dates of when events happened. Unfortunately, it's $40 for a lifetime purchase. We've seen worse. This one's called Squared Away. It's also nice looking, and it's for keeping a database of all your earthly possessions. However, you will not be blessed to afford many more possessions if you go for the top tier in-app purchase, as it's $400 for a database. Okay, this is the 3D subsection for iOS. I found a thing called Artimesh, and this is for the iPad. Now, a few years ago, 3D on a tablet was unthinkable. So this is another in the growing category of 3D on your iPad. It can export 3D objects as OBJ files, so you can now use your models back when you get onto your computer. Although the example image that they show looks like it can render textures, this might chew up your battery and will not give as good results as when you do it on your computer. Okay, next up is the iOS graphics section. First one is called Uplens. There seems to be no end to photo editing apps. This one offers textures, filters, colored frames, and background replacement. It is subscription-based, it gets a high rating, and appears to have a straightforward interface. iFocus Stacking. This is an app for stacking multiple shots to achieve the best focus by merging the shots together. Pro photographers will do this from time to time, so now you can do it on iOS. Next up is Macro Shader. The iPhone can take some reasonable macro shots. They aren't pro level, but they do let you see the world of the small more than you expect. Go beyond Apple's built-in macro settings with apps like these. Crystal Zoa. Since iTunes was young, people have enjoyed music visualization that until then required fancier equipment and deeper tech skills. There are a number of visualization apps, and this one joins the other offerings with a nice set of features, including 4K video output and transparent backgrounds. Next up is the iOS music section. First off, Steinberg surprised everyone by releasing 2 more apps for iOS. Verve, which is a warm and intimate felt piano instrument, and Etude, which is a Yamaha C3X grand piano. Then we have Exosphere. This is an iPad app intended for making ambient and meditative type tracks. Then Saucillator. This is for creating and then playing a synth. So you design it, you do a custom design. It's a AUV3 plugin, so you can use it in your host. Next we have Jardinira. You want to sing your synth part? This is an audio to MIDI music utility in the form of an AUV3 plugin, which lets you take live audio and it converts it to MIDI. Then you hook up a synth or another instrument on the other end, and you don't need to play on a keyboard. Then we have Cellular Synth. If you like unusual ways of generating notes, here is another app that uses cellular automata. John Conway's Game of Life was used as an inspiration for many of this type of app, in case you weren't familiar with that style of generative music. Next we have the Bud Bundle by Kem Ole. Kem has been making useful, modern-looking iOS music apps for a few years now, and this bundle lets you grab a bunch of them in one hit. Then we have Gorilla Synth. This is an analog-style subtractive synth with straightforward controls for rapid idea development when you don't want to get bogged down in lots of knobs. Rob Jackson has released one called Flangelope. It is an envelope flanger, hence the name. Now this one has a few more features than your basic flanger, including a stereo width function. And yes, it's an AUV3 plugin for use as an effect in your favorite hosts. Next up we have Woodman's Immaculate Maple Syrup Studio Woodpecker. With possibly the best and longest developer name in the music software space, this one is their MIDI sequencer. They make good stuff. Check it out if you want to send notes to instruments in lots of different patterns. Oscillators. Although this one is in the education category on the App Store, it claims to allow live mic input, so you might be able to use it in your songs. I haven't installed it yet, so I don't know what it sounds like, and it's free. Then we have the Polaris Pocket Music Maker. A few years ago, a bunch of beat-making and/or multi-instrument loop-making apps started appearing in the App Store. The developers more in touch with the music scene ensured theirs was an AUV3 plugin so the beats could be incorporated with other instruments. This one does that, I'm glad to report. Graphics section. We have Daniel Petho's CMYK halftone emulator. This tool emulates CMYK halftone printing using WebGL shaders. So that means it can make your images, up to 100 megabytes in size, look like they were printed in a printer with stochastic screening, like an old newspaper or comic. Next up we have CameraBits Photo Mechanic. I'm not sure why it took so long for me to see this one mentioned, as apparently it isn't new. It's for viewing, sorting, culling, and applying metadata to your photos. Next we have Ante Photos. Store and share your photos with absolute privacy. There's no shortage of options for how to store your photos, but do they have these features? 10 gig of storage is free to get you tempted, then move to 50 gig for US $2.59 a month. End-to-end encryption is claimed, plus the usual batch sharing and comments that we would expect in a system like this. Next we have Doron Supplies Dithertone Pro. Do you long for that 90s computer graphics look like you saw on classic Macs and even Amigas? Maybe like me, you even have a couple of dithering apps for iOS. This one blows most of them out of the water with a huge range of options, including color lookup table choice and half toning. Now there's one called Cutout Pro by Design Syndrome. Do you need stuff to look dirty, punk, retro, or handmade? Check this out. Should you need more, there's a bundle for some more roughness as well. Next one is called Effecto. This is a web-based tool for making ASCII art. Much beloved back in the day when you can only access computers via terminals. Then we have Quixel Mixer. This is a large library of both 2D and 3D assets for creating textures and materials for creating games or movies. Next I found a thing called the Color of Art Pigment Database. This isn't an app, it's an artist's paint and pigments reference. So if you're interested in color, check it out. Then I found a thing called Vision Tagger by Synendo. This is an app that uses AI to add keywords, tags, categorizes the colors, and adds restrictions to your photo library. Then I found Super Color Palette. This is a free web app for generating color palettes. You could experiment with hue, saturation, lightness, and then export as JPEG, PNG, SVG, CSS, ASC, and others. And I found a thing called Image. This is for self-hosting your photos and your videos on your own local server. Welcome to Digital Asset Management. Next up, we have the video section. I found a thing called the Keyframe Toolbox. It's currently in beta. This is a utility for providing more control for Final Cut's keyframes, which I agree have been in need of enhancement for quite some time. Then I found one called ScriptStar, which is for transcription. This one does a better job than what Final Cut does built in, because once the text is transcribed, everything is buried in those clips, so you can't find the actual text of your video very easily. Then there's some assets called Anomaly by KSet Select. This is a pack of 4 assets: interference textures, interference transitions, fractured glitch transitions, and luminescence transitions. Good for messing up your video in an interesting way. Now we have the development section. There's a library for JavaScript called P5XJS. It's open source and it's for creating digital art. Then I found a thing called Hyperview. This, they say you can create native mobile apps as easy as creating a website. Now I found a thing called Yazi, which is a blazing fast, quote unquote, terminal file manager written in Rust. Last on the list is RibbonDiff. This is a nice looking diff viewer that shows colored ribbons to help you see the changes between your two text files. Next up is the AI section, which are things that do various things for you, but they use AI software as their main claim to fame. First one is Packy. This is a travel planner app that is powered by AI. It's $80 Australian per year. Then we have Melly. This is a personal project task manager to-do list app, but it's heading towards the agentic AI space. You can communicate with other Melly users. Integrations with Google Calendar and Todoist are mentioned. As with all agentic stuff, use it with caution. And I found a thing called Keek, which is an AI-powered A/B testing platform for people who make two different versions to see which one works the best. Next up is Granola, like the breakfast cereal. This is called the AI Notepad for people in back-to-back meetings. Meetings are designed to exchange information, and at least one person tends to record the conversation in the notes. But then, what happens to your messy notes? This app transcribes the meeting and turns the notes into clearly readable actions. You can then apply templates to turn them into various documents and share the content to Slack, Notion, and other services. And I found a thing called Assembly AI, which is AI models for transcription and understanding speech. Next, we have Hypertask. These folks chuckle as we type out notes into Notion, Asana, Linear, which I hadn't heard of, and ClickUp. Why? Because they offer a pile of other data organizing features that allow integrating all these loose notes and communicating with your team better. Next up is one called Maybe. That's two separate words, May and then the letter B. This is a coach, mentor, project planner, and assistant available by text message. Next up is VoiceType. This is a dictation service that can attain 360 words per minute, and they claim 99.7% accuracy. Over 35 languages are supported. Next up is the music-specific section. First item is called Mix Mentor. This system analyzes your song to tell you what needs to be done to improve it. It doesn't train further on your material. Next is Fader, with no E, just F-A-D-R. This is a suite of music tools, stem extraction, song remixing, and creation of synths and drums, all via typing prompts, plus you can create DJ sets in real time. Next one is called Dope Loop. So this is a collection, and the ones of interest here are the Melody Generator and Beatmaker. 2 velocities are supported, plus ratcheting up to 5 repeats. Once you make your beat, you can download it in WAV, or the stem separations in zip, MIDI, or some tracker formats, if you use trackers to make songs. Next is the AI graphics video section. First item is called Pixel Maker. This is a site to make videos by uploading still images and writing your prompt to tell it what you want to happen. There must have been something wrong in the back end, because they're telling me to visit a site called Video Vector instead. I'm not sure what's going on there. Next up is a site called Huge, which is a platform to both watch and create your own AI videos. Next we have one called Media AI. This is a suite of image and video editing tools, including style mapping, for example, oil paintings or watercolors, which became popular around 2021 to make your photo look like it was done with those traditional methods. Plus it can do cartoonification, including 2 contentious large studios, plus the usual photo editing, both practical and amusing, like face swapping or de-aging. Okay, we're in the work section. This is a mixture of productivity and other useful apps. First one is Atlas. This lets you scan documents to PDF and then use AI to make queries about them, digitally sign, or add the usual PDF editing like circles or lines, and then you share the whole resulting edited document. It also includes a measurement tool. Next one is Tiimo, or Tiimo, T-I-I-M-O. Although it's marketed at folks with ADHD, you don't have to be neurodivergent to use it to organize your life. Brain dump all the stuff you need to do, then sort and categorize it, including color coding for the visually oriented types. It saves reminders to the Apple Reminders database and includes a focus timer to keep you mindful of the clock. Now the next two are in the category of AI-powered note taker. First one is Jotty. The AI used here runs on device on your encrypted notes, so it's all as private as they can get. This offers Siri shortcuts and data detection, so it can create reminders and appointments and knows with whom you've made them as it reads your contacts. Second one is Mumble. Voice, text, images, and links are all supported in this organizational tool. So, capture voice notes in over 40 languages into the iPhone or Apple Watch, and then have the AI do the sorting, and you can query and revise and format it with voice prompts. Compare this with Notta. If you just want the audio transcription part, this one can do 58 languages and can translate into over 40 of those. Plus, it can import existing audio and video files to transcribe them. Now I have one called Bloom. More than a CRM, this is a whole platform for managing your business. Features include website creation from a large template library, invoicing and payment tracking, booking and scheduling, contract tracking, chat messages, and project management. This description can't do it justice, so spend 5 minutes watching their demo video to see what it's all about. It can do a lot. Next one is a thing called Moxie, which is a suite of tools aimed at freelancers, including but not limited to accounting and invoicing, CRM, meeting scheduler, and project management. Next one is called 5 Things. Avoid to-do list overload by narrowing down what you need to think about into 5 things, either tasks or habits. This might appeal to productivity guru Merlin Mann, who used to write the Fives blog, last posted to a decade ago. Next up is called OneCal. These days, people have calendars all over the place. This one lets you sync your calendars to avoid scheduling conflicts. And I found a thing called PixieSet. This is a full-featured platform for photographers. Not only is it a gallery, it offers a studio manager component for running your photography business. Next is Pixpa. Somewhat overlapping PixieSet's feature list, this one can also be used for other visual artists, such as graphic designers or even photo models. Next up is one called Coda. Not actually anything to do with music. These days, getting work done is a lot of work. Lots of apps and sites to log into and lots of shuffling of data between them. Google Docs, Notion, Asana, Todoist, ClickUp, plus the Office apps like Microsoft Project if you work somewhere that has those. Then you have to figure out which team member is working on what part. Coda aims to help you work more efficiently by combining many of these tools into one platform. It's focused on collaboration, and it also offers integrated AI functions to move things along more quickly. Okay, next up is the training section. Found a site called Color Music Notation. Like me, these folks think that black and white music notation is lacking. They have developed a scheme that adds color to music notation to enrich it and perhaps make songs easier to learn. Sound Slice. Once again, people who think looking at dots and lines on the page isn't quite enough. I agree with their statement. There's so much that notation can't communicate. This system can sync sheet music with video and includes tools for selecting bars or other portions and repeating them slowed down to assist learning a song. Then I found a thing called MindMap by Ignite Technologies. This is a large library of documents for learning cybersecurity, including penetration testing, vulnerability scanning, and using tools like Nmap and Wireshark. Final Cut Pro Efficient Editing. This one is a tome for learning Final Cut Pro. This one is more recent than even Apple's book, as it covers from version 11.1 and is still valid for version 12. Available in paperback or digital downloads. Next up is LNA Music. Leina Tutonen, who is an Ableton certified trainer, offers these Ableton Live and Push courses that she wished existed when she was still learning the ropes. And last up in the training section is Bassclef with a K, Bassskleph. Their quote is, "Finish songs fast and get that pro sound." Well, we all want that, don't we? These folks offer 8 courses that include not just technical, click here to do this function type stuff, but also guidance on how to write, produce, and market your stuff. Okay, then we have the file sharing section. There is one item in it. It is the TeamBeam Transfer and Drive, separate items from Scalio. This is a suite of those 2 aforementioned apps, first of which is for sending large files to recipients, and the other is a traditional cloud storage service. The servers are in Germany, and they are very keen on privacy. Okay, now we have the media consumption section. First one is Obdura Playlisty. Transfer playlists from other streaming services into Apple Music. This requires an Apple Music subscription to work. Next is Libro FM. Sick of paying Audible? This app lets you buy audiobooks from a local seller. Next is Marvis Pro. An unknown to me percentage of people don't like the interface for Apple Music, regardless if it has any bugs, just the actual usage of it. So if you're in that category, check this one out. It's an alternate player for your Apple Music library. It supports drag and drop for sorting, plus Last.fm, which I've never used. You can't delete music using this app, however. Next is called Groovetie. This is a music discovery and listening platform aimed at finding local artists. Eschewing the standard streaming model somewhat, this one supports musicians without tallying streaming play counts. Okay, last up is called Fratica. Listen to narrated versions of your books, PDFs, websites, and other apps using text-to-speech. Available for iOS and Android. A free tier of 20 minutes use per day. I couldn't quickly find what format of ebooks it supports. It's a shame that these services have to exist, that we both have unemployment and people who want or need text read to them. But instead of paying for people to make recordings, we get software to do it instead. Okay, that's it. This concludes Too Much Fun audio version, first audio version. I hope you found something cool that makes your creative life easier. Remember to share it on your feeds so that others may discover the wealth of stuff that is around. And if people enjoy listening to the audio version, I'll try to do another one, see how it goes. So this has been Too Much Fun, which has had music, samples, contact, podcasts, fonts, Mac stuff, iOS stuff, graphics, animation, video development, AI, work, training, file sharing, and media consumption, all in one place. See you next time.